Listen, if you want to land data and AI customers that are paying freelancers over $100 an hour or $10,000 per project, this video is for you. I'm going to be talking to Matt today, and we're going to be walking through 5 different customers that he's landed on Upwork. We're going to go through the specific job description as well as the proposal for each of these projects. And as a bonus, at the very end of the video, we're going to be going over a live example of a customer that just opened a job on Upwork today. We're going to look through that job description and write this out with you guys. Along the way, also, we're going to be covering a specific checklist that you need to follow for any type of job that you apply for on the platform. If you, in fact, follow this checklist, chances are you are going to be 2 to 3 times more likely to landing freelance customers on Upwork or other freelance websites. Listen, real quick, before we do jump into this video, we are hosting a challenge on School right now, helping people get their first AI customers on Upwork. So if you would like to join, the link is down below in the description. And if you're watching this a little bit later in the future, no worries. We constantly host challenges and we have a super engaged community. So I hope you guys are able to join our community, and let's jump into this video where we're going to learn about how to land $100 an hour AI customers. All right, so let's jump right into this framework that we're going to use. Matt is crushed freelancing way better than I have, so I'm just going to let him explain, and we'll jump into some of these examples.
Yeah, so we're going to start first with what I call the minimum checklist, which is when you are applying. These are the bare minimum items. We're going to see there's usually a lot more that goes into it, to get a successful proposal and job. But this is like, if you can't cover these steps, it's just going to be harder to land stuff, or you're just going to be landing, lower quality stuff. And then we'll take a look at some examples, of the higher end jobs that I've gained, what went into the job proposal, what was in the listing, how did I think about it, what were the steps after that, and then, of course, where did it go from there. So let me share my screen. We'll take a look at the checklist first.
And you guys can grab that checklist as well in our school community. So that way, if you want to grab it, we'll put it directly with this video.
Yep. Yeah, we will throw it in there. So this is my, like I said, bare minimum. You'll see there's a lot more that goes into it and a lot of, tinkering with it and things like that. But this is just the bare minimum. This is where you have to have this. So out of the gate, the first one is include social proof. When you apply to these jobs, you need to have a level of social proof included that you feel mirrors the level of the job. Better jobs, more social proof. There's a bunch of different ways to have that social proof, whether that's like case studies on your site, that's, Upwork reviews or whatever. But the better the job, the better the competition is going to be in this regard. There's people that are going to put, they have a PhD, they work at this company, they've worked at this company, they've done this, blah, blah, blah. So you need to include this, and it should reflect it in the level of the job that you're applying to. I always go for either social proof that is incredibly similar to what they want, me essentially saying, hey, I've done this exact thing, or incredibly high-end social proof from a really good company, case study with really good company, really good review, like something like that. You have to have one of those two. And I usually go for both if I can, but so many different jobs, there's so many different things out there. You're not always going to get that. The next one is.
Okay, add to that. And even from the other side, like, let's imagine you don't have a lot of jobs. How do you break that social proof barrier? Personally, for me, how I broke the barrier, like, I have a full-time data science job. So I talk about this, like, hey, I run data full time. You can throw that in there. In addition to that, like, this YouTube channel, perfect social proof, because guess what? I have my name attached to this channel. I have 300 plus videos. Someone's not going to go out there and make 300 videos if they're not dedicated to something. So when I apply to jobs, I say first, hey, I have over 300 videos on data science. And when I apply for NAN jobs, I say I have over 60 videos on NAN. As well with NAN, they have a website where you can literally upload your workflows. And if it's good enough, it gets approved and posted into their website. So I send them links to my NAN workflows on the website. And I say, hey, I was actually published by NAN. So YouTube channel, and published by NAN. So if someone wants any NAN work, I have two things that are going to make me stand out in comparison to more of these people that are applying. But think about how like obviously 300 videos takes a long time. Think about how can you achieve a quick win? Maybe a quick win is you wrote 3 articles on Medium and you published those. Maybe you want to post a workflow on NAN's website and you can link over to that. So think about it in like levels. Hey, this is an easy way I can add in social proof. Is it the best social proof? No, absolutely not. But will it stand out in comparison to the 95% of people that says, hi, I can do skill, hire me today? Yes. So spend those few hours, get that social proof somehow. Matt gave some great examples, but not all of us have that work ready to go. Start with that.
Yeah, and really what I would do is if you don't have that stuff, this bullet point entirely covers it. So anytime I'm applying and I either the high-end social proof isn't really relevant, or the actual case studies aren't really relevant, your last option is that you're just going to have to really put detail into telling them exactly how they'll do it or how you'll do it. Because essentially, this right here, the whole goal is just proving that you are competent enough for this role. That's what you're doing. And if you can't showcase that through pre-existing information, you should just tell them how you would do it. The first job, I've told you this, first job I ever landed was for $98 an hour. I had just joined the platform. I didn't have any reviews. I didn't have a website. I didn't have anything. All I did was this dude posted this thing. It was like a recommendation system for his newsletter. He runs a news, whatever. And I just built a document, a literal PDF document that said, like, this is what I would do. These are the tools I would use. This is why. And it took like a ton of time, but I didn't have anything else. That's just what you have to do. So if you can't cover sort of this top one in a way that is relevant, you are going to have to put in some effort for this, job. And if you use, if you write a blog post or something to cover this, you have it for the next time, right? Why do I have so many things I can include here? Because I have a lot of fucking blogs, and it's just because I've done this over and over, and I can reuse them when needed and tailor it from there. The next thing I would focus on is just get to a call. Your proposal should read in a way that is just focused on, here's my info. We should chat about your use case. You shouldn't be pushy in it about the job. You shouldn't say, I'm ready to start right now, or any shit like that. That doesn't help you. It should just be, hey, here's my info. Let's chat about your use case. Because at this point, you just want to get on the call. The call is where you actually land the job. Very few times are you going to put in a proposal and they're just going to hire you right there. It just doesn't really work. If they do, that's honestly probably a red flag. They aren't really doing anything.
Red flag unless it's a cheap customer, because I've had some $200 or $500 customers.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, it's not worth my time to jump on a call, but can you knock this out and give it to me in a week or so? And you're like, it's a basic data request. It's some cleanup, or just like it's a Streamlit app. And you're like, you don't need to talk to this person. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. I mean, you should expect that on these higher end jobs, there will be multiple steps before you get it. One, because it's a lot of money, and two, there's just a lot of applicants. There's just going to be a lot of people applying that are, good enough to have that role. So the one that, and we'll see this when we look at the example jobs, is you really need your first sentence or two to really be what best sort of summarizes why you are a fit for this. It should be your highest level of social proof, or your highest level of why you are a fit for this. It shouldn't be anything else. Hey, sir, madam, how's your day? Like, there's no need for that.
I want to say one addition. I think if you can find the person's first name throughout their Upwork profile, you should add it in there. And then you have the hook after, because it does show a willingness that, like, hey, you went through all this guy's reviews, which you should be doing anyways to qualify that job. Don't take on a customer that has a bunch of 2-star reviews. You're going to be in bad problem there. But at least go through that. If you can find the first name, use the first name and put that in that first sentence. What is your
Yeah.
hook? But also include the name there, because now you have, man, he found my name and also has a hook, versus someone that says, hi, sir, versus someone that says, hire me for the job. Again, how do you differentiate yourself from the rest of the people?
Yeah, and you'll see, I mean, you'll see when you look at the examples that um I when I get invited to jobs, because you can see their name right there, I always put hey, whatever, because I want to differentiate that I was invited versus not invited. I actually usually say hey, blah blah blah, thanks for the invite. I'm trying to make sure that they understand I was invited to this role. I see that it just adds, differentiates you from the rest of the pack when doing it, as well as, I'm sure you know, when you get invited to a role and you accept it and you apply, those go straight to their messages. It doesn't go into that general queue of proposals. It goes straight to their messages. So they pull up their messages, they see immediately, hey, whatever, thanks for the invite. It adds a level of like, I'm already in here to some extent.
Yeah, and also to mention too, that does get you to the next level, but just because someone invited you to the job doesn't mean you're going to land the job.
Yeah.
There's some people that will invite 20 or 30 freelancers to a job, which is a pain when you're applying to jobs as well. And you're like, there's 30 interviews. It's not even worth it
Yeah.
at that point, because you're like, if he's interviewing 30 people, he went through a page, hire a data scientist, invite,
Yeah.
invite, 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 and already has it in his mind that he's going to hire someone from there. However, Upwork still forces him to make that post that he's trying to get this job and people are going to spend connects. So just kind of another hack for you guys. We'll throw those into the videos for you.
Yeah.
But super important there.
Yeah. The other one here that I have, I would make sure that when you do, and this is something we were just talking about before, there's a section when you do a proposal that you can include like highlights. You usually want those highlights, if you're going to use them, to be highlights from related jobs. The highlights to them just show the job name and then the feedback you got and any review that you got. You might as well include those. There's no reason why you wouldn't. I don't know why you wouldn't include information about like, hey, I did successful jobs and here's what they said about me. I
And
wouldn't include bad reviews on there, but why would you not include something in this step that just says like, this is what to do?
what I would add on there too is if you have a top rated status, or if you're like 100%, 90, I would say like 95% or higher job success score, put that in there as well, because they're going to look at your review. And then if you put that over there, it might say, oh, well, this guy already has a bunch of good reviews as well, if they're like a top freelancer on the site or 100% job success score. So as long as you don't have like a 70 or 80%, if you have a
Yeah.
really high number, again, like it might tip you over to the edge to at least getting into the interview phase. So since it takes 5 seconds to throw that in there, do it.
Yeah. I mean, I would, if you have a poor job success score, you're probably not going to be moving forward until that gets fixed anyways. A low job success score is kind of the um, death on the platform, in terms of it does eventually expire, but you are going to be waiting a while before it does.
Good old
When you
purgatory.
apply, and that person can see all of the job scores on the proposals that come in. They're listed right there. So they're going to see, all these other ones that are good, and then they're just going to see right there yours. It's something that you can't change on your profile when you apply. So it's going to be there regardless. If you have a low score, you might as well just wait it out. To be honest, it's not going to be good unless you're just applying it like, $5 an hour or something, just trying to get back. I noted this. Some people do this. I don't really know why they do. Never include an automated raise in your
It's kind of a red
jobs.
flag.
It just kind of assumes that like you're going to be employed. Like it just like assumes a bunch about like, oh, I'm going to be worthy of a raise of this percent in 12 months. Like I know why they did it. Like I get it, but I've never seen anybody actually like use it that applies for like my jobs that I post. Um, people have commented on it that like will do that and like didn't like it. I wouldn't do. I don't know why you would do it. Like if you're going to get a raise, like it's going to be down the road because you were successful and they're probably going to give you a raise anyways. So I just like the whole automated. Like I don't do it.
What I would say too is literally you can just talk to your customer. Your customer's really happy. It's been 6 months, it's been 8 months, whatever. Hey man, we've done a great job. My rate has slowly increased. Would you be able to up the dollar amount if you've been happy with the quality of the work? Have
Yeah.
that conversation instead, because it's more of a person to person conversation. They understand it as well. I mean, I've had that with the customer when I started at
Yeah.
$50. They had another business and I said, listen, my rate is no longer $50 an hour. And they're like, that's fine. And they matched my new rate. So
Yeah.
have those conversations. And listen, it's okay when you start out to have some lower paying customers. I'm not saying $50 is low pay by any means like that. But, over time, you're going to get those higher quality, or not necessarily higher quality, but higher paying customers. And you can always ask, like, hey, I'm able to do this. Or if you're just so busy, you just say you can't work on the project anymore, but don't quit in the middle of the project. Quit when you're in a good spot.
Yeah. For this, like, there's probably gonna be people that comment on this and say that
Oh,
like
100%.
that say like the connects or whatever are a scam or something.
Pay to play.
Who,
And that's what
who's
it
your
is. You have
proposals?
to.
Like, do you really expect people to apply to jobs just for free? Like, in no other business aspect, like customer acquisition cost is zero. Like, that doesn't. Yeah, there's people that don't use Boost. Like, I know people that don't, and they're like really successful, and like that's perfectly fine. Like, maybe they just have like an amazing profile. They just have everything. They don't really need to, and their conversion rate's still really good. But that's not everybody. Like that's like a top 0.1% of people on the platform. Like why wouldn't you want to boost? Like it literally puts you to the top. You're the first people that get seen. I don't know what else to say. If you really don't want to boost, like don't boost. And I will just be boosting ahead of you and be applying above you. Like I
Yeah.
just like why would you not like regardless of how you feel about them making that system, the system is there. So I use it on literally every single one I do. I don't know why you wouldn't.
I spent 150 on connects on Boost yesterday. So 50
Oh,
or
yeah.
no, yeah, so 150 between 4 jobs. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I didn't even get any jobs out of those 4. I mean, I got 2 views, but at the end of the day, like I would have been just lost because there's a lot of people applying to any end jobs. So
Yeah.
I looked at it.
It's
These
just
were
the
any
math.
end jobs
It's
that
like
were
the math.
they're paying $100 an hour. And I'm like,
Yeah.
50 connects, $100 an hour. Like
Yeah.
there's no other business out there where like you can get leads that are going to pay $10,000 or more and you have to pay $10 for that lead. Like the math on
Yeah.
that is insane. Like if you're
Yeah.
going to get paid 10K and you have to pay $10 in boost or $20 in boost to get that customer that pays $10,000, why are you not doing that? And just to reiterate, like one of my customers is in the real estate industry, and real estate, you can make a lot of money on houses. Do you know how much people pay for real estate leads, Matt?
I know how much they pay. I'm
How
well
much do they
aware.
pay?
They usually pay, like $500,
Yeah.
250,
Depending
500, depending
depend
on the
depending
location.
where the location is at,
Yeah.
they're paying $300 to $1,000 per lead. That doesn't even
Yeah.
mean that anything happens with that lead. It's just they're first to market. They want to get a house that's a wholesaler, $300 to $1,000, and people are complaining about spending $5 to boost. Now the profit margin isn't as great as real estate, obviously, but at the end of the day, listen, you're going to get a big job. Spend the money.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. I don't know if people just have like it's like a put their foot on the ground moment or whatever. I mean, don't use it then. Like, and you'll just sit at the bottom and you still might get jobs. Like, there's gonna be people that say, like, I get jobs not doing it. I'm not saying that, but it's a chance to improve your conversion rate. Like, that's, people pay for that all day in other domains. So, I would just say boost them. If you really want the job, boost it. It's just, what you should do. Last one, more of just a general thing that I look at, and take a lot of this into account. It really just needs to read human more than anything else. You'll see when we look at the examples, not all of mine are incredibly long. They're usually very to the point. They include the exact information that I need. But they read human. You can tell I wrote it. You can tell it's, a person to the point. This is what I do. This is what I have done. I would rather you have something short and to the point that is high quality than long and generated. And there's no point. Nobody cares.
Don't
It's
use
got to read
Chat
like a
GPT.
person.
Don't grab the job, post it in Chat GPT, and then just send the exact stuff over here, because it's gonna be so bad, especially if you have all those hyphens. The hyphens are gone. You already know. But either way, don't do that.
Yeah. Well, cool. Let's take a look at some examples. These are all examples of high-end roles. I believe all of them are above 120 an hour. They're all full-time, close to full-time, long contracts, to show you kind of what goes into, for those type of jobs. What are the profile, what does the proposal look like? What's the listing look like? What goes into the thinking of putting that information in? These are all very incredibly competitive jobs, and they are all lots of money. So I want to take a look and walk through some of these to give an idea of the thought process and logic behind it. So here's the first one we're going to take a look at. Couple things to notice out of the gate. This is an invite-only job. There are a lot of those. A lot of the jobs that you get will be invite-only. You got invited to it. There's usually just less people, of course. It's just how it's going to be. You're going to get more roles that are invite-only. We also notice a couple other things here on the check marks that we want to see. This is a large customer, 16 million in total spend. They've got a lot of jobs active, a lot of jobs open.
Good
Their
reviews.
hire rate is incredibly high. It's 100%. You rarely see that.
That's unheard of there at 100%.
Yeah. They're an enterprise client on Upwork. This is about as good as it's going to get. They check, they're US based, 60 million. Like this is about as good as it's going to get. If you get invited to one of these, you should be ecstatic. This is about as good as it's going to get. It is usually still going to be fairly competitive, even with it being invite only, but you are at least in the door on something that is going to be incredibly good.
This is like getting a referral to a FANG company, and you're already getting an interview. Not that you're going to 100% land it, but guess what? A recruiter reached out and said you got a referral for a team, and they want to hire you in some capacity, but you got to go through the leak code questions. Yeah.
So when I look at this, pretty generic title. Nothing wrong with that. Usually stuff like this, when it's a company this large, written by some sort of hiring person. This isn't written by an actual tech lead. They might be involved in the tech, but it's going to be more general, just because those are the type of people that write these type of jobs at this size of a company. Looking to be a part of a team that will be dedicated to build and support. Very general stuff. So at this point, when I'm looking at it, I see it's 40 hours a week. That's nice to know out of the gate. Still pretty general. So although I'm interested in this, I don't really, as I'm thinking about it, what am I going to actually say to get this? Because this is still, it's general. I don't know if I have that direct social proof yet that I can include that separates me from the other people. We can see, now we're talking about Gen AI, data engineering, okay, we're getting there, but still pretty general. So this is one of the ones where, we're going to want to include maybe more high-end social proof. It's going to be very hard for you to have case studies or things like that are directly exact to this, just because it's so general. Your best case is going to be, with enterprise clients in general, high-end social proof, companies they know, names they know, just to get you a little bit closer. We can see they also have some questions. you always want to fill these questions out incredibly close. This was, to me, this was sort of my, okay, this is my time to shine. Or implemented generative AI frameworks. That's all I do essentially. So this is about as good as I could ask for. They're asking general questions about cloud computing, all stuff that I could answer, and all stuff I'm going to write a ton of info about. I'm going to show the case studies. I'm going to talk about working with the cloud computing. This is some level of like granularity that I can use and apply directly to my skills. And we can see some of the activity when you click into it. They sent 88 of them.
Yep.
It's crazy that 38 people didn't respond to this job.
And what's crazy to me, two things. Number one, they're interviewing 17. So you have that, but also hired 3 people.
Yes. Yeah. They were the people that I worked with, the other 2 people that I worked with. But 38 people didn't just, that's insane to me that people didn't apply to this.
Well, what's crazier though, there's 88, but only 17 even responded to it. 38 just didn't answer. A lot of people said no.
I mean, that's actually right. That's insane. That's crazy. That's, whatever,
Because it would be, if it's 88, right? 33 people just said no to it because you had 17 that were interviewing and then 38 just no response. Why would you say no to that? That's insane to me.
I don't know. I don't know why I couldn't have responded quicker to it. So now that I've seen the questions they ask and I've seen the it is a general job description, but the questions tell me more about like what they're looking for. Now I can get into this. So, hey, first name, thanks for the invite. Like I said, I always do that when I get invited. Right out of the gate, I'm going with the high-end social proof. Right out of the gate. I work with generative AI systems, has been praised by AI leads at Microsoft. It's a link to lead at Microsoft who reviewed one of my architectures and said it was awesome. And reviewed by executives at Hugging Face. It's another article I wrote. The CTO of Hugging Face shared it and wrote about it.
We need to put that on the channel. I didn't even know either of those. I knew you talked to one guy's at Hugging Face, but we need to make those into videos.
Yeah, they're when I am doing high-end social proof that's kind of unrelated or it's an enterprise client, I always include that because they're both names that they're going to know. I don't know why I include this. I also finished a year-long project focused on data governance with a client. They're in finance. This company was in finance, large finance company. That's why I included that. So once again, I'm adding some social proof around like, hey, I just worked for a year with a finance company, right? I'm adding more to tie myself to them. My work focuses entirely on, I'm going through, since they're looking for generative AI implementations, I'm talking about, the stuff that I've worked on, the volume. I'm showing that I'm an expert in this domain. I've done a bunch of stuff. Once again, back to names that they know. I worked at Capital One. I've worked on large teams. Once again, more names that they know. Munich Re, these are all names that they know. So I'm all out of the gate trying to focus on like, I am a fit. My background is a fit. I do work right now that is a fit, right? I'm just tying myself to it. And then giving them some little puff piece stuff to look at. And then you'll see I do this on pretty much all of them. I include a relevant work section, right? I want to show them if they want to sit there and read a bunch of stuff about what I've built and things like that, they can be my guest. Are they going to read all of these? Absolutely not. But they're going to see, one, that I have a bunch of stuff. And 2, if they want to read stuff, they can read until they're satisfied, right? Maybe they just read one and they go, this guy's perfect, right? We're good. So I put, a bunch of stuff. I highly recommend reviewing them to get a detailed breakdown of projects. These are all, just LLM stuff, classification stuff. I think they mentioned classification or something. I'm just giving them as much information as I can around the type of stuff. If I did this nowadays, I'd probably just include LLMs. Maybe I'd include this stuff as well. But these other things aren't really as focused, but I don't think it hurt. It clearly didn't hurt. So I included that in there.
I would still include it, in my opinion. I mean, it might be a little too many links for some people, but at the end of the day, like they invited you, so
And if they,
show up.
what usually happens is, they don't look at all of them, but they'll look at a couple and they'll say, "Yeah, this is great. This is what I want." Right? I've had like two people ever that told me they actually read every single one that I sent. They spent 4 hours
Really,
reading my stuff to
I
get all the
swear,
way.
if you didn't get if you didn't get that customer after 4 hours of
They
reading,
actually
I don't.
hired me on that call. But that's a that
I,
that's not go that's not going to happen. That's a very that's just usually not going to happen. Here's one of the questions that they included. Remember, we saw they had a couple questions. Once again, I'm going to put very specific stuff in here. They're asking if I deploy production level stuff in Python. And I just talked about writing in Python. I've both led teams, worked in large teams to move models. I'm just showing them, like, once again, I have experience in this. I'm an expert. The stuff is related to what they're looking for. Describe a time when you built or integrated Gen AI framework. I just included the links. You could write like a summary of it if you want, but if they want to look at the links, they'll look at the fucking links. So I just included the links there. I included profile highlights, like I said.
Yep. Now I
These
have
are
a
all
question for you on
5-star.
I got a question on profile highlights. Is this
Yeah,
Can you only add stuff that you have reviews, or can you add in stuff that are still ongoing? Because like I have some customers that
you
I've been working
cannot
on for
add ones that are ongoing. They have to be
Mm,
completed roles.
damn, that's a bummer.
Yeah. Which, it's I as somebody who has like a million open roles just because I don't close them.
I do the same thing because I'm like, you never know if people come back and want more work, and I just keep them open. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Um,
dang,
yeah, I just, I these ones, related, some of these aren't. I
that's
don't
fine.
know, but they work. They're 5-star reviews. It's more of just like a checkbox than anything else, in my opinion. But there are those. And then I noted I did 2 interviews. One was very high level, get to know me, talk about my background. Actual technical interview, we dove into the details about what they're building, and what they wanted, everything like that. And it was 120 bucks full time.
Now,
What's interesting about this? What?
for your technical interview, were they asking you coding questions? Because I've gone through 2 interviews on Upwork before where I didn't even know I was going to go in a technical interview, and they just start asking me coding questions, and they gave me a problem to solve, which I will say was interesting because I did zero prep work. I still landed the jobs, but
Yeah,
a little bit of a heads up of, hey, we're going to solve some SQL questions together, or some Python pandas questions together. You ready to do this? Because I generally wasn't ready to write code
I don't
at
get that
super early in the morning.
almost ever. Like, I really don't. Like, my first interview was like, "Who am I?" Right? And then they told me like second one is going to be like a technical thing, and I asked some questions about what would be covered. They were not hard. It was more of just like hey, if you wanted to build this system, how would you do it? Right. And I just walked through like the
Yeah,
different
that makes
pieces
sense.
there. It wasn't like, here's some leak code,
Yeah,
right?
I had a good old
I
what
would have
happened.
hung up. I would have hung up if I got leak code
They
questions. I'm not
were
doing
they
that.
were a good customer for me.
Yeah.
Did the job. It was some SQL annotation work, but 7
Yeah.
a.m. in the morning. Oh, here you go. Let's start solving this stuff. Which, by the way, I'm up super early. I'm up at 5, but like I did not want to be solving
Yeah.
SQL questions at 7 a.m. in the morning after my morning run.
Yeah. The one interesting note, and I was looking to see if the job had an expected range of hourly. It doesn't look like it did, and I don't remember what. Yeah, I don't see a range. Um, but the 2 people that I worked with, their hourly rates were 60. Um, I don't know why. I don't. Maybe that's just what they applied with. But I, as I am a big fan of applying over the top, because if they really like you, they will negotiate with you if it really needs to get lower, or they'll just pay you. Um, so I essentially always over the top. If you are qualified for the role, they will at least get on the phone with you and ask you if you have a better hourly rate. They're going to do it. Now, I wouldn't go, as like I don't go like way over. I have a whole sort of system for how I figure it out. But I am usually applying over the top. So I don't know why those two were 60 an hour and I was 120. We applied the same. Maybe I just was willing to ask for more money, which is a good, lesson of like, you should ask for more money for this.
$400 an hour coming soon.
I think the highest I've ever applied at is like 250, 260, only because their range included 250, 260 in it. So I
You
was
might as
like,
well
well,
try.
shit, like, tell me it's available. I'm going to try to get it, like why not?
Yeah. So
But yeah,
really
that was
quick, was that the end of this one?
mhm.
So let's jump into school because I think there's some applications you guys could do really quick before we jump into 2 and 3. Do you want to go to the school tab? So yeah, before we jump into our second example, listen, we think anyone can start freelancing. And in fact, there's a good chance if you already have skills that you could land a job by the end of 2025. So within our school community, we're hosting actually a mini challenge right now. If you're watching this in January or February, don't worry, we're going to have other mini challenges as well. But the goal is to try to help someone or multiple people. I really want to get 3 people their first Upwork or freelancing job in December. So we're doing every single day, posting how many jobs we applied to, if we're getting any interviews, and just going along the lines of that. We've already helped a few people rewrite their profiles, kind of rework their
Yep.
portfolio on that side of things. And we just want to give value back. So if you want to join our school community, there's over 200 people in there right now. We've already landed one person a Facebook NAN job, which was really awesome on that side of things, but we still have a lot of work to do. So it's a free community. We have all of our NAN workflows. We're also going to include Python tutorials in there and Python guides. Everything you need technical side, everything that you need on the freelancing side. It's free. Join it with other people. Link is down below. But you can see over here, we just give the resources. We're going to be super active in this server rather than our Discord, which we shut down, and would love to have you be part of it.
Yep. Yeah, we'll be. I'll be curious what your challenge is going to be because it's the first customer, and I gave you what my extended challenge is going to be. I'll be curious to see what I was going to give you. One. I was going to give you an extended one.
Oh, don't give me a challenge right now, man, because I got a lot of work on my plate, but I'm
We
applying
got
to
to get
jobs
you
to see what
applying.
happens.
You got to get apply it
Dude,
40 minutes a day.
I applied to 4 yesterday. I applied to 0 today, so we got to still do that. But
I was
we'll
going to
go
give
through
you
it.
a challenge of a 150 an hour gig. Go for the
I
big
mean, I've
dog.
got it. That's what I charge for coaching, 150 plus, but not for Upwork yet.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's take a look at the next one. This one, very, very specific, which to me is always better. I want my jobs to be specific because the social proof and experience I can provide is very specific. Generative AI embedding pipeline. That's all they want, which was kind of interesting to me when I saw it, looking for a senior engineer to come in and work on our embedding pipeline. Normally, of course, jobs that are more granular and specific require a higher level of expertise. Luckily, I know a shit ton about this. And so, they talked about the chunking strategies, all stuff that I know. But, one of the first things I noticed when I look at it is like, this is incredibly specific. My job proposal is going to have to be incredibly specific. We can see 60 to $100 an hour. They're looking for 30 hours a week. I would generally ignore this. Sometimes it's real, sometimes it's not. I would ignore this too. Good jobs are going to keep going. They're not just going to end it because, if it's going good, they're not going to end it. 60 to 100, that's kind of interesting. This is one that I was invited to. And very straightforward. This is not one of my better proposals, I will say, mostly because I was invited to it. And so it just doesn't have to be as good. My profile is also really good, high earnings, top rated, 100% score. So I know that all that plays into it. I said I spend most of my time on the embedding sides as I believe it's the best way to improve accuracy in RAG. At this time, RAG was really growing and there was a lot of conversations around what is the best way to optimize RAG. Like that was a huge talking point at this time. And I was somebody that believed that embedding models was the best way. For people that believe that as well, if you say that, I've seen it's a strong like indicator that you know what you're doing. So I always say it, because if they agree with me, they're just going to, be much more interested. I included some guides that are very specific to this, right? They mentioned chunking strategies. They mentioned fine tuning embeddings. Both things are mentioned. So I included stuff that I have that is incredibly specific to that. Could this have been longer? Yes. I think if I wasn't invited, I would have made it longer, but it's very to the point. This is what I work on. I've written a bunch about this, and then just want to chat about the use case. There's not a bunch included in the use case itself. It's sort of, just about the embedding stuff, but not about like what the business does. So I just said, I'd love to chat about it. And I landed it. And there we go. This one was really good. This is an example actually of one where I applied with 160. My default hourly rate is 160. I didn't lower it for it. And I got it. Good example of if they feel you are a really good fit, they're just going to hire you. These ranges are more arbitrary than you would think unless said so. Because I applied at 160 and they gave it to me at 160. So did you have any questions about that, Ryan?
No, that's pretty straightforward. No $16 million company, so I understand why
Now,
you kept it short.
they were fairly large. They had about 200, 250 employees. They had done a Series B round at about 30 million. So they were a fairly large company. I don't remember what their earnings were on Upwork, but it was like good. Like it was a good level of earnings, a couple $100,000 or something. We won't see any other 16 million. I've never seen another 16 million. That's the most
That's
I've ever seen by far on here. So
I have applied to a decent amount of jobs. I have not seen 16 million. So
usually like if you apply to one and there's like 1 million or 2 million, like you're like, wow, like that's a fairly large company. I'd never seen 16 million before. That was crazy. So here's one very generic, hire a Python developer, task will vary, haystack.
See,
I don't know anything
I
about
wouldn't have
haystack.
never applied to this job. NLP, like 3 sentences, and it's 25 to 70 an hour. I wouldn't have applied.
You will notice this was 3 years ago, so the price of
Oh, okay.
X was probably 4 cents.
That's true.
But
Not
it
not a
was
20 cent job.
yeah, it was, it was just one where I was like, okay, like, it takes you 3 minutes, right? Like I'll apply to it, whatever. And if I don't love the job, I will apply. Like I'm not going to lower my stuff to fit it. I'll apply with my normal hourly rate. If I get it, great. If not, totally cool, right? And I'm just at this point trying to get on a call. I'm not saying I'm even going to take this job. I might get on the phone with them and I might not like the job and I might say no, right? I'm just trying to get on the phone. I don't know anything about Haystack. So this was one that's like, I don't know anything about Flask. Like this is one where it's like, like it's there, but I'm just going to try to show them a bunch of info and hope that they like it, right? I don't really have a ton that's like super close. I have NLP stuff, but nothing that is like very specific to it. And this one, I remember it very vividly. I found
Good
their
old
name.
GPT-3. Look at
Yes.
that.
I found their name in one of the reviews, so I included the name. I wasn't invited to this. I've built multiple high-level NLP products, and I have clients like that. Once again, I'm listing the social proof. I'm telling them about what I've done. Case studies and white papers, all related to NLP. Once again, I don't really know what they're focusing on, so I'm just going general, hoping that they like the info I have or they like the companies that I have, right? I don't, one or the other is all I really need. And I got it. I got it at the full $175 an hour that I asked.
Wow.
I did do 2 interviews. The first one, very general, really just talked about what the project was. Second one, much more technical. Really wanted to walk through how I would approach some of the search systems that they were building. That's what Haystack is used for. I didn't know that before I did it. Thank God that first call taught me a little bit more about what they wanted so I could go do some research. But yeah, it was, I just landed it and that was that. Sometimes you get lucky here where, you apply and it's kind of general. And you even apply with an hourly rate that's almost double what their max is. But like I said, if they really like you and, you perform well in the interview, you're probably going to get it. So, that's why I always say, like, just focus on getting to the call. Don't worry about the other stuff. And then you can perform from there. So this job, this is about as good as I would want. For me specifically, this fits my skill set best, right? It's really just a game of understanding the skill set that you can best portray and show to get to that interview, right? Prompt engineer to QA, their product and provide recommendations for improving the quality. Very specific what they want. It very specifically fits what I want. I remember seeing this and I was like, I'm going to land this. I haven't even applied yet. I know I'm going to land this. This is about as up my alley as I'm going to get. Looking to improve the quality of responses, experiment, improve. This is prompt work. This is prompt engineering, prompt work. Nothing really here to do. Opportunity for ongoing work on an hourly basis. That's perfect. All I could care about. Like, that's perfect. Like, all of this, I'm telling you, I saw this and I was like, this one's mine. Like, this is for me. What's interesting is this is all I did. This is my entire proposal. I was that confident. And I bid 5.
Your bid was 5 connects. Look 5. At
that. This was, to me, it couldn't have been any better. Like, I just knew, like, this is what I want, good spend, good hire rate. The hourly rate average is low, but I don't ever really look at that because, there's a lot of like VA jobs on here and stuff like that. My work on GPT prompting has been shared by Microsoft. I'm showing that, hey, my stuff is good enough with this that Microsoft is willing to share it. And then here's guides I've written from client work, right? I'm showing once again, every single one of these is a guide to a specific prompting framework. It's 3,000 words about how to do that. And I just said that it comes from client work. Once again, some feedback, some proof, and that was it. I landed it. They're actually still a client to this day at $160 an hour. I've been with them now for, at this point, a couple of years. This was, like I said, if you have the exact skill set that they're looking for and you have the exact social proof, like, you just don't need that much. It doesn't need to be this big, long thing if you have that and it's exact. I set my bid to 5 and I just put this and applied and I got it. So, I did well in the interview. They asked about, of course, how would you make these quality improvements? It's something I know a ton about. So I was able to talk incredible detail about it, and go from there. Last one I want to take a look at. Once again, very kind of not what I would usually be into. Video avatar chatbots is not really my thing. I maybe not. I remember seeing it and I was like, okay, like, I'll apply, but I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. And I just included, a bunch of information about my work with just chatbots, right? I'll get to the video part later if I get on call with them, but I'm going to focus on what I know is really good that I have. Hourly rate was whatever, but great spend, great rating. They hire a bunch, 89% is pretty good. So I submitted at 150. I don't remember what once again, I'm ignoring the range. If they think I'm a fit, they're just going to hire me. 36 to 70, I'm applying with 150. I don't, if they like me, they're just going to move forward and go from there. Once again, this follows a lot of my same, framework that I have, right? I'm an AI experience with the chatbots. I've worked on these photorealistic avatars, which I actually hadn't at that time. I just put it in there. I don't know. I just did. I figured that I could learn enough about it by the time I spoke to them to actually do it. Experience building models that take transcribed text. This is kind of general. I wouldn't do this nowadays, but this is really good. I built a number of these in-domain chatbots that take the base ability and refine it to specific goals. Once again, I always share this link from Microsoft. I share it like literally every profile.
You're making a video on it.
Nowadays, what's up?
You're going to make a video on it on the channel.
Nowadays, I don't do it as much because I don't know. I used to do it a lot, and then it was kind of like I have better stuff now to share. And then I listed once again a bunch of companies that I've worked with, names people know. I even have a document on some of the models. So once again, I'm giving out free information. These are big, long documents I've built on what open source models to use, what embedding models to use. They're huge documents. I always include those just so that people, if they really want to go deep into it and read, that they can. And then some case studies in there, and totally cool. I included a pretty long answer for relevant projects. Once again, I'm just very focused on the chatbot part because that's what I know. And I landed this. at 150 an hour. It was good, chatbot. The video, the avatar stuff wasn't really that bad. It was more focused on chatbot. Interview was straightforward. Just wanted to know about, experience building chatbots and things like that. And, worked out well and was able to land it and, move forward from there.
Now we're going to go and take a look at a live one with you guys.
So let's take a look at a job, and we're going to apply to this live. This was an idea Ryan and I had before starting this, just because I was sitting here getting ready and I was like, oh shit, that's actually one that I really like. So let's take a look at it. So very specific system to digitally assign images. Like this is very specific. It would be, specific is good because if you have the exact skills, you're probably going to get it. But it also means that there's probably very few people that have done this exact thing. I actually can't. I'd be stunned if anybody did this exact thing. It's kind of an interesting use case. We do love this. That means that they're willing to spend. Only freelancers in the
US
States
only. There you go.
That is music to my ears, right? That means that they generally are going to be willing to spend
that.
more.
And look at that hourly.
Why do you think I was interested in it? Good hourly, but here's the more interesting thing. Look at the average hourly rate.
That's what I looked at first.
That is really high. Because that probably includes some VAs and stuff like that. Like this is really high.
Good reviews and everything.
Good reviews. The higher rate's low, but they've been on for a while. So sometimes
does that say Stanford or Sanford?
Sanford. I don't know where that is.
Oh, I wonder. That's in Central Florida. That's nearby.
Oh, okay, nice. In terms of what they're looking for, develop a model so we can quickly upload and assign digital images of postal mail to customer accounts. Model will need to read names, addresses. Kind of interesting. What I'm doing now is I'm just thinking, like what does the pipeline look like? Like what does the solution look like? Because I don't have something that is exactly this, right? I don't think anybody will. Let's see. So skills. This is also music to my ears. One person interviewing. Didn't send any invites. 20 to 40 is pretty standard. Bid range. That's actually pretty high for an average. I think if you looked at the average of what a lot of jobs are, it's pretty low. High 125. We're going to blow that out of the water. History looks cool. I don't know. Looks cool to me. Looks pretty
Well,
good.
you didn't look for his name, but
Yeah. With that, few people applied. Actually, you know what? It's a pretty good idea, actually. So I'm gonna go 128. I'll probably go 135. It's a bit over. I could go higher, but yeah, I think that's fine. I'll be the highest. I won't be that over the range. Never want a rate increase, and you couldn't pay me to use this shit. Just couldn't. I'm gonna add some profile highlights. This is a good one. Look at that review. Bam.
amazing. Those are the reviews you want.
That's the reviews you want. Let me see if I have any OCR ones. I don't really think I do.
Now with this OCR job, are you going to talk about Mistral? Are you going to talk about the built-in OCR for models, or how are you going to approach that?
I don't know yet. So what I'm probably going to do, I don't want any of these. Do I have any OCR? I don't know if I have like exact OCR.
I have a use case we used OCR for in the past.
Oh, I'm going to send 1 million case studies.
Okay.
I have 1 million blog case studies.
I was going to say, we worked on OCR model last year, where we could talk about that too.
This is the worst review I ever got, and it fucking pissed me off.
A
Makes me
3-star.
so mad. They just because we're here, I did 5 hours of work, and then they just canceled it and never said anything. I even offered to refund them the money. I didn't care. It's fucking $700. Still to this day, it bothers me. And it was in 2022.
I get bothered when I have like a 4.5-star review and like everything worked perfect. Like that right there, I assume everything worked perfect, and then they get like a 4.5 or 4.6. You're like, what else could you do?
And I even saved him tens of thousands of dollars. Whatever. So I don't have any OCR specific ones. So I'm just going to do some other ones that have good reviews.
Yep. That's why Michelin star restaurants don't always have a perfect 5-star review on Google.
Yeah. That was annoying. I'm still thinking about it. God, it pissed me off.
You're good.
Matt is an AI expert.
Done.
That's fine. I don't have any portfolio. Do I even have?
You have, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like your Upwork profile has the worst example of a portfolio. I tell all these people, build out your portfolios.
Don't look at my portfolio.
Don't look at yours. I'm the same way. My portfolio on Upwork is terrible. I need to re-enhance it, which maybe we'll make that for a video. But I definitely need to do that.
Okay. Bids are still low.
Bid? What's the highest bid? I can't read it here.
55.
Oh, that's very cheap.
I'll do 56. It's easy.
Oh, I was shocked you didn't make it like
14. Huh?
I was shocked you didn't make it like 150 or something like stupid.
Somebody's gonna. I always do it just based on what they have bid, because if I get outbid, I'm gonna be second anyways.
Well, I was gonna say, if you get outbid of the top 4, you get refunded, and sometimes they'll still see your proposal. So
yeah,
I like that too.
Oh, dude, I actually have done this.
What does it say? I can't read it here.
The model will need to read mailbox numbers, names, and addresses.
That seems so
I actually
easy.
have done that. I'm not include that specific stuff in this video because I have a direct client URL that has it. It's done parts of that, so maybe I'll include it, maybe I won't. It does do name and addresses. I don't know if it does. I don't think we did mailbox numbers, but just you guys won't see it. But I'm going to include a link to a customer that I built their thing, and it does parts of this.
Yeah, and we'll also reiterate, this won't be everything, just based off of some privacy stuff.
Yeah. I'm just going to get, right into it.
Also, if anyone hears the dog in the background, I apologize.
I built a ton of custom OCR pipelines. company. Yeah. Trying to think if I have any companies I should share that are relevant to the OCR. Other than that one, I have to leave that one out. So actually, I'm just gonna. They're a current customer too, so I don't want to add that. I'll add it after the video. Build these pipelines. Do they mention anything specific to AI? Not entirely, but I'll put it in there because they did put some AI. They actually, what's interesting, they didn't put OCR as one of the skills.
They just put AI. Interesting.
With AI systems, I'm going to go with a general one.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're just going to list off some OCR models that you're going to test with.
Well, I have case studies that are exact.
Yeah.
This is where I will put. Do I have that link?
That Microsoft link. If not, just get to it later. Just say put link there. Do it after the video.
Because that link that I shared before is actually expired now. I have to go get a new one because I used that short URL tool, so it's not this big long.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Some of my OCR work, and I've got exact case studies for it. I know. I do.
So just put case studies here in the future, so people know. You don't have to grab them now.
I am going to. So for each of the case studies, because they're not, I know off the top of my head, they're not only about OCR. They include other stuff. So what I do in that is I say before it, like, I'll say like this, I used OCR for this pipeline here, right? So that they don't, because they're going to click on the link and be like, this isn't about OCR. Like, what are you talking about? So I include in those cases, like what part of it, actually, you know what? I'll show you an example. I'll show you the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, show an example.
This one. This is a tool that I built that takes legal cover sheets and processes them, right? So you know, like, who's the plaintiff, who's the defendant, like all this stuff. And if you see, look at how old this one is, the whole company name. You'll see, here's like an example of it using the OCR to extract the text. So I'll include that in there. So let me note exact use of OCR model in this use case. I only do this if I know the case studies I'm sending do not only focus on OCR, because like I said, you don't want them to click on it and be like, how is this relevant, right? You want it to be specific. I work for OCR clients. So I'll probably put 3 or 4 of those. And then I'm gonna put some more. This isn't super specific to what they have. I want it to be a little more specific. So they're looking digital images. Miller needs to read mailboxes and addresses. So I would have something like now I love taking a small source OCR model and fine-tuning it specific to this use case on, actually, no, I'm not going to say we could.
You can. I'm going to. I like that better.
I'm saying, like, this is what I do. This is what I'm going to do.
The small marketing on that side.
Images, and I'm not just going to say I'm going to fine tune it on your specific images. I'm going to say why, right? You have to include that why. You can fine tune your specific images, and it will learn the domain specific. Learn the domain. What am I doing with this? Learn the domain specific. What am I trying to say? Learn the domain specific Granularities in tenant. Now, this is something you will just get used to. You're gonna like this because this is some next level shit. I have a feeling what they are doing with this use case, just because I've been doing this a long time, they are reading this stuff and they say assign the images to customers. What does that mean? They're pulling the data out of these images and they are mapping it to some sort of customer record. So I'm going to include information not just about the OCR part, but about how to do the actual mapping of the data.
I love that idea.
I've been doing this a long time. When I read something like that, I know what they're doing. As far as the right, I'm just double checking. And actually, here's another tip. If they use specific language in how they explain it, you want to use that same language. I would not call this assign to customer accounts. I'd say like map or some sort of like lookup, but I'm going to use the language they understand, right? I'm not trying to overcomplicate it. I don't want to confuse them. The assigning to customer records I would use a so I'm covering the OCR part, and maybe they don't even need this part, but I'm showing an understanding of what the use case is, what the task is. I get on the call and say, we already got that part covered. I'm showing that I understand it. I understand more about their use case.
No one is doing that.
Here's and then I have case studies for this part as well.
Now I gotta eat dinner and apply for my jobs today. Hopefully I can
matching
find something like this.
Boom. Bam.
Great.
Covered the OCR part, covered, information that they understand, information they can pick up. I might even, how about this? I might even, when I talk about these out of the box models, they're probably on Hugging Face. Guess what I'm going to share? Hugging Face has shared my stuff. I'm making it as like I'm adding as much social proof as I can to show that I am the person for this and I understand your use case as well as possible. I don't have any work samples for this that are different than the case study links, so I'm not going to add anything in there. And yeah, I mean, that's bid is up. That's what I would do. I think this one will go pretty well. I feel good about it. Looks fine to me. I always check, make sure, did I miss anything? No. I think it's pretty straightforward.
So yeah, you guys saw Matt walk through 5 of his high paying customers as well as a live walkthrough. So if you're confused on how to write killer proposals, you're confused on what jobs to apply to, hopefully this video helped you. It's an hour plus long. And honestly, there's no excuses for you guys not to apply for jobs. With that being said, again, we're running a competition in our school group right now. We're going to regularly run these. It's free to join. You can get live feedback from either Matt or I, and we want to see you succeed within AI. A lot of people in here want to get their first customers, and we're here to help you guys out. Matt, anything else you want to cover on there?
No, I mean, we went through a lot. I would definitely focus on the checklist more than anything. You know, the proposals, they're going to be very custom to what you can offer and what you have. So I would not take mine and just, I have additional stuff that I can use, and so I tailor it towards that. But the concepts are more important, so that for the information you have and what you can provide, you understand how to best portray that for each of these.
I think that's a perfect way to end the video. If you guys want to see other Upwork stuff too, we have a full playlist. Long form videos like this, a lot of value. For some reason, people don't watch them as much, but you really should, because you're getting free advice here. This is the easiest way to scale up to 10K a month freelance. And with that being said, we'll catch you guys in another video. Talk to you on school, and see you later.